Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to talk about the worst customer you've ever had. Now, this necessarily doesn't have to be a paying customer. The worst person you've done work for. Now, when I was in my 20s, I got a reputation for doing brake jobs cheaper than the regular garage, which was true. If it was pretty, I could work in the driveway and get, change out brake pads. Pretty simple work. And it's gotten a little more complicated today, but it's still, you can make decent money, simple repairs like that. And I did. Now, once I opened a body shop, well, things changed a little bit. And let me warn you against something known in the business as the trade out. The trade out is simply put, I'll do something for you if you do something for me. Now, in this case, a carpenter, home builder slash jack of all trades. He had a Dodge Magnum he needed painted. It was a black car and it was in good shape, but he wanted it repainted. It was black, and I needed. My wife and I just bought a house that needed work, and we had a leaking roof. Part of it needed to be stripped off and reshingled. So we came up with the deal where he would fix my roof issues and I would paint his car. So, and that sounded like a fairly balanced trade-off, So one weekend he came over and he got my roof done. And then I'm in the one-man shop, and I've got a series of jobs coming in, that I need to get done. I've got to pay the rent, and I'm doing fairly small jobs, spot repairs, panel repairs, these sorts of things. They don't take a lot of time, but you really need to get them in and get them out. So a lot of those small jobs took up a lot of my time, and I didn't get to work much on the other guy's car. And so his car sat in my shop for a number of weeks, and then he came by to express his disappointment that I hadn't done more on his car. Well, I'm a fairly new business owner just trying to keep the doors open and keep a shop roof over my head. And honestly, I couldn't take time away from paying work to do his. He got his done in a weekend, and it's weeks later, and he's still not seeing much progress. So I made a special effort to try to get more work done on his, and I did. It still wasn't fast enough for him. He got his part of the bargain done quickly, and me, well, not so much. He did his in his off hours, and I was trying to fit it in between paying jobs. So he waited and waited, and he would stop by once every week or 10 days and check on it and give me a little grief over not having more done by then. And I would tell him, well, I've got paying customers I have to get done, get those in and out if I'm going to keep the roof over my head. He wasn't very sympathetic in my memory. Anyway, he and so I am getting work done, and I'm getting it ready for paint. It didn't need a lot of body work. Now, it had tape stripes on the side, and those took some time to scrape off. But I got those done without damaging the paint much, and I was on track to get the car painted. Well, my friend comes out to the shop one afternoon and announces he's going to clean the inside of the car. And I'm like, fine. I've got shop rags if he needs it. I've got Windex. I've got materials to help him out if he needs it. Trying to be agreeable here. Well, he breaks out the Armor All. Now, Armor All was something I did not allow even in my building. I didn't want the stuff anywhere near a car that I was going to be painting on. And so, but he broke it out, had the windows all down, and he was spraying Armor All everywhere. And I kept telling him, this, you're not doing me any favors or your paint job any favors by using Armor All before it gets painted. And I told him in the strongest terms, I wish he would stop. Well, he didn't. He used Armor All everywhere on the car, and it looked great inside. Well, as you can imagine, in the next 2 weeks, I had it ready for paint and painted it. And the paint was going on great. And then as it was curing, fish eyes began. And fish eyes were everywhere. They were on the roof. They were on the hood. They were on the doors. They were even up on the sides of the fenders. The overspray from the Armor All went everywhere. And now this was after I had given the car several going overs with grease and wax remover. That silicone's just really tough to get off. And I hadn't even thought about using fisheye eliminator, thinking, well, going over it several times with grease and wax remover should get it clean. It didn't. It still had, the paint, the primer and the sanded paint had absorbed lots of silicone overspray. So, and so it ruined that paint job. So he came in a few days later, and I could show him a few fish eyes. I was trying to let the paint cure, and then I was going to have to sand it smooth again. And told him what had happened. And he just kind of laughed. Like, well, if you'd got it painted sooner, I wouldn't have done that. I'm like, well, because now he had provided the paint at first. Well, now it's up to me to get the next gallon of DuPont Centauri acrylic enamel and the quart or whatever I needed of hardener. And so I have to retape the car. I've got to wash it off, prime any breakthroughs, the routine. And so I had to deal with all of the fish eyes. And this time, however, I used Fisheye Eliminator, which was another expense to this account that I could not charge for. So Fisheye Eliminator, and I don't know what would have happened had I not used Fisheye Eliminator, but I used Fisheye Eliminator and the paint job was successful. It was one of the worst experiences because I'd never had a vehicle with fish eyes that extensive before. Had I even thought ahead, I should have had Fisheye Eliminator on hand. Anyway, that's my experience with the trade out. Not the best experience in the world. It kind of ruined the friendship between me and my friend, especially when you take into consideration all the extra work involved after he used Armor All against my advice in my shop. So live and learn. Never do another trade out, no matter what. Okay? Because one of you, one of the partners in this trade out is going to feel like you got screwed. Now, that roof leaked again within a number of months. And he wasn't happy with the paint job, though it turned out good. He wanted me to paint stripes on it to match the color, the tape stripes that were on it, and I did. The stripes weren't perfect, and actually, to finish them, I needed to have a pinstripe border, and around the entire set of stripes, and separating the stripes, either a dark blue or black pinstripe. I'm not a pinstriper, and at this point I was just trying to get it as close to completion as possible. And then he came one day unannounced and took the car, and before I could even get the striping finished to my satisfaction. So anyway, again, live and learn. I'm sure he never wanted to do another trade out as much as I never wanted to do it again either. But anyway, we probably both walked away feeling like we'd been screwed, And that's probably, in his eye, in both our eyes, is probably the truth. Anyway, avoid doing trade outs, because it can ruin a friendship, and the two halves of that equation of a trade out are never equal. And so I still had to pay to have that roof fixed, within a year or so after he did it. So live and learn, live and learn. All right, guys, that's it. In the comments below, if you've been involved in a trade out that went haywire, leave a comment. Please consider liking this video and subscribing. There's always something new happening here in the Shade Tree Garage. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.